I am Israel, this is Amber, this is To Win Begins Within, and this is men's relationship wisdom. And the topic of this video is going to be called Boss Game. So Boss Game, it says I made a video describing why you should treat your woman like an employee. Okay, so the whole thing is that we made a video why you should treat your women like an employee and you be the boss. So me and my girl have been together for 17 years.
Happily.
Happily, okay. And I don't have kids. I told her.
No, we didn't want him.
Well, that's what she said. I didn't want them, and then
He didn't want him. I also didn't, and it just worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. Okay. And then we're not married. And
No.
she's been with me 17 years.
Yes.
Okay. So I have this dynamic that I treat her that way. I treat her like an employee,
Yes.
and I'm a boss. So it kind of sounds kind of like, what kind of relationship is this?
It seems
Well,
very like.
Well, think about it. A lot of girls are very respectful and better serviceable to their boss than they are to their boyfriends or husbands. So we're going to get into why that is. And I've done it to her, whether she knew it or not. Now she
Right.
understands
Because
it
it
more.
was both like literally and figuratively in a sense.
So, okay, why is it, in your opinion, is it better, that dynamic, to treat the women like an employee and don't really do, it's like a boss-employee dynamic instead of
Equal?
instead of a boyfriend-girlfriend dynamic? Why is it better?
Well, kind of like as you said, women typically tend to respect their bosses a lot more than they do their partners.
Okay.
So I think part of that reason is when a boss is looking for an employee, they look for someone that has certain prerequisites. They're looking for someone that is qualified to fulfill a position.
That's right, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
So they're like a job description.
a job description, exactly. Whereas when a boyfriend is looking for a girlfriend or someone to just kind of like hang out with, he's kind of like, well, I'll take whatever I can get. Let's see what's available. Let's get
I
the
think
first
it's
one.
not necessarily, it's like an underlying, understood kind of contract. It's not not as expressed, right?
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. Another one too is, as you just said, it's not as expressed. Whereas a boss and employee dynamic, the boss says, hey, I want you for this, this, and that, and for that, I will compensate you with this much pay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
That's a boss and employee.
boss and employee.
Okay. And
Whereas
the
a
girlfriend?
boyfriend and a girlfriend, like you just said, it's not really discussed. There's these implicit kind of demands and expectations. So a woman expects certain time, energy, resources, attention from her man, but the man never really expresses what he expects of her in return.
Some men.
Some men, fair enough.
Right.
Good point.
So what you're
So-
really saying is that the frame is really strong with a boss employee.
Correct, because things are very understood. So when the employee is not living up to the expectations of the job description, she knows that she's going to be replaced.
Oh, okay, yeah. If she doesn't do her job, mama knows, right?
Yes, because it's like if I'm not doing this, well then I'm going to get replaced. But if I really, really like this job, I love the atmosphere, I like my boss, I like my pay, I really don't want to let it go. So what am I going to do? I'm going to probably go above and beyond my job description to make sure that replacing me is going to be very difficult. Whereas, go
So
ahead.
there's a good nature of reciprocation
Correct.
as a boss and employee.
Yes.
And compared to girlfriend and boyfriend, what happens?
So I think a lot of times there are some men that tend to pedestalize their woman. So what I mean by that is that he allows her to get away with a lot of disrespect, maybe certain actions that he wouldn't necessarily condone, and he tolerates a lot.
So this is in the boyfriend-girlfriend dynamic.
Correct.
But in the boss-employee dynamic, that doesn't fly.
No, because she knows that she will not be able to get away with those things without being replaced. So she's more
She's held
conservative and held accountable and responsible for her actions.
So in other words, if the girl doesn't do what the boss says, he has a duty to meet the bottom line, and by the dynamic that it's set up, he has to hold her accountable. So therefore, she has to produce certain results.
Correct.
And in the girlfriend-boyfriend dynamic, he doesn't enforce it, even though it's a different
Right.
dynamic.
There seems to be this kind of for a lack of a better word, like fear on the men's behalf. And to some extent, it's understandable because, like, immediately if he does hold her accountable or responsible, he's controlling. Or if he doesn't like certain actions, he's dominating or he's toxic. So immediately he's
instead
labeled,
of growth mindset.
instead of being like, you know what,
unless
he's
positive
holding me.
feedback.
Correct.
Right.
Instead of being held instead of being held to a positive feedback, like, this makes me a better version of myself as a girlfriend, like an employee would. It's like, oh, he just doesn't get it. He's so controlling. And there's like this shame that is initially put on men.
Just put this negative thing on growth.
To the boyfriends. And the girls tend to do it because they want to get away with what they want to get. They want to get away with what they want to get away with. So if there's nobody there holding them accountable, then what are they going to do? That's usually when the shady stuff kind of comes, in the dark.
So the picture that I'm getting is like you said it on the video, is that employees want to do the least to get the most pay from their boss. And the boss really wants to get the most work for the least pay.
Correct.
And then the relationship is the woman wants to get the most resources for the least amount of work. And the guy typically wants the most of her
whatever she brings, so like her sex and assets and
everything for the least payment on his behalf on attention and resources.
Correct.
But since the dynamic in girlfriend and boyfriend is that she really outmaneuvers the boyfriend, and what happens is that there's an imbalance of reciprocation.
Absolutely.
Because the guy's not really holding her accountable. Because it's more vague.
Exactly. It's
so
not
like
even expressed.
As a boss, you can see the numbers right away. As a boyfriend, you really don't see it. It's like a slightly decaying deal, like you don't notice.
Right. It's more subtle, and she gets away with a little more and a little more and a little more, and before you know it,
she gains an inch. Before you know it, she has a lot of real estate.
Exactly. She has the mile, and then when you try to course correct, she's like, "What do you mean?
Right.
I've been doing this all this time, and now there's a problem. What are you talking about?"
So this reminds me of, if the guy's not getting reciprocated back for his resources, this is where I say, like, men don't charge their worth. That means that they're not demanding, for my resources and everything, I need you to pay up with whatever you guys agree in the relationship. And what happens is that if the guy is not being reciprocated, that's what a simp is. Gives a lot of value and doesn't give much back.
Yes.
And that's where simps are born.
I agree.
But it's a little process. And what happens is sometimes, since guys are the romantic, we made a video about that, the previous video, is that they explaining why they're the romantics. They want to feel like how it should be is that I'm good, I treat her good, she should recognize that and be grateful. And I tell guys, girls don't recognize that. You need to demonstrate why they should be grateful on their own term, on their free will to reciprocate. So you need to kind of let them know, and they come up with their own solution. That's part of sales. It's like you give them the information, and they convince themselves to buy the product.
Right.
So it's like you almost make it their idea that they want to buy your product. And that's another form of seduction, or persuasion, or influence, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, and see, like you say, the simps are born. So when a boss allows an employee, gives them too much power, what happens? That's usually when the employee either steals, they start to, modify numbers, or they start slacking it. So in the relationship, when the woman has too much leverage or too much power, what does she do? She starts dressing more provocatively, she starts looking for attention elsewhere, and eventually maybe it leads to cheating.
So in other words, is when the employee cheats, is she stealing time, energy, or resources from the company, or she starts, like, saying, demanding more things, or she starts getting away with this. She gets more demanding. She wants better hours. She wants better pay. She wants she feels if the boss folds to her, to the employee's demands. So in the girlfriend boyfriend dynamic, she starts saying, well, I get this treatment, I want more. She becomes more demanding,
entitled,
and then entitled, and she doesn't get her way, then she's going to start cheating because she doesn't look up to you, because girls don't look up to simps, they look down to simps.
Because they're on the pedestal.
Exactly. So they don't respect them, they treat them like shit, when they should be appreciative, but they're taken for granted because they're not reciprocating, they're not charging them.
Because the woman believes, she's like, well, you've been doing it all this time, you've been giving me all of this, why are you going to stop now?
So see, if you kind of resonate with the treatment there, it's kind of like you need to act like a boss. That's a boss game. You need to be the boss in the relationship. Because if in there the boss in the relationship, the employee serves you. Because you make things happen. You're the leader. So when the follower, it helps the leader, it's well. But when the follower manipulates the leader and the dynamic shifts where she becomes the leader and you become the follower, where the employee calls the shots and the boss doesn't, and then that's not a good business. So that's not a good business. It's not a good relationship.
Because what typically happens, the woman, when she meets a man, she goes into his life, she enters into his frame, and when it's an enjoyable atmosphere, like let's say a company, she wants to stay there. She doesn't want to be replaced. So when it is so good, that's almost like where, you know,
She has a fantastic job. She doesn't want
has
to
a
leave.
fantastic job, she has good pay, she believes in the mission, and she knows, like, if I drop the ball, I'm going to be replaced.
Disposition.
So, correct. So she's like, I don't want that to happen.
So why did it work with us?
I think that's exactly why it happened.
You mean I held you accountable?
Every day. So not only did you hold me accountable when you were my literal boss, you held me accountable as your girlfriend. So
But you
what
were
I
my
mean by
girlfriend
that-
first. Okay?
Yes.
Remember, she was my girlfriend first, and then she started working
Yes.
for me.
So you saw that I had certain qualities in myself that allowed me to become your girlfriend.
So this is
And
another episode where I break down what the qualities to look for a girlfriend. It's basically three things: their hardware, their software,
how
and
much
do they
they love.
adore you.
Right.
So that's another video, and that's what I said with her.
Exactly.
Obviously, she's beautiful. She adores me.
Thank
And the thing is, she adores me so much, but she already had it in her nature. She had a growth mindset. When a girl has a growth mindset, that means she's welcoming accountability. Now, there's an art to deliver accountability in a way where it makes it enjoyable and comfortable
easier to receive.
and easier to go. It's not. It wasn't a smooth ride the
that
whole
was a
time.
learning process for both
But
of
she
us.
adored me so much that she stuck with me to do it. Now I do it better. Now it's smoother.
Much.
So that's one. But it's a constant growing, and that's what you want.
But
A
see,
synergy.
yeah, absolutely. But see, you saw that I had certain qualities that made me a viable option to be a girlfriend. And one thing that, it's not really a joke, but I say that we joke around about it, is that you had me on like a, what's it called?
Pay as you perform.
No, it's the, like when an employee gets an evaluation, like they get their,
Oh,
what's it called?
my dating style was when I was seeing
But
somebody.
what's the word?
Well, let me explain and see if the word comes up. So my dating style was that I would see a girl for 6 months and I would make up my mind if I would give her
Another 6 months.
another 3 months or month to month base kind of deal.
Performance review.
Right.
There we go.
So it's
Performance
kind of
review.
like a performance review. It's kind of like giving her a grade, or she's
Yes,
on.
you're evaluating.
She's what you call on.
Probationary.
Yeah, she's on probation, kind of deal.
Yeah, to see if she fits. So like if it's a fit for the environment and so forth. So when we started dating, I had my probationary period. I passed. You kept me for another so many months past that. And then again, kept me for another so many months.
Do you
and
still
then,
feel that you're like that?
Absolutely.
It hasn't ended.
Well, no, why would it?
Right.
So it was one of those things that after I passed so many probationary periods and this is something that I learned later on in our relationship. Like I didn't know that this was going on while this was happening, but I also remember certain conversations that I'm aware that I'm like, yeah, this is what he was doing.
Yeah.
So after so much time, I've proved myself to be a certain type of individual. You liked my character, my connection, so forth and such. And you were like, you know what? I think you would be a good asset. And you brought me into your company.
Right.
And you had me come work for you. So you became not only my figurative boss as my boyfriend, you became my literal boss. And I remember a lot of people did not think that was going to work.
Right.
But I think because
A lot of people talk shit and they don't like my style, but it brings results. So like, what do you really want? You want a CEO that brings results or a CEO that you like?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Ideally,
like, who
both,
wants
and
you?
I did. I got both.
Who do you want to work for you? No, I mean other people.
Oh,
So like they might not like my style, they might not like
no.
this, they might not like the words I'm saying, but men really resonate with it because it produces results.
Well, and the only
And
men
that's
that
what we
don't
really
really
care
care
about.
about it are the ones that know that they couldn't do the same,
Right.
typically.
So that's boss game. You got to be a boss because you're the CEO of your life, and really, women that are in it with you, they're just your employees. You got to treat them that way. So you got to be the boss. That's just
Yep.
how it comes down to it.
Well, yeah, and I remember people asking me like, well, how does it change like when you're at work versus at home? Like, is there a difference? And it really made me think, and I was like, well, no, there's really not, because even at home,
It's different.
it
And
is
in
slightly
boss,
different.
she gets
However,
paid, and then at home, she gets paid with
well, in that
affection,
aspect, yes,
attention, my validation, and my
your time, energy,
yeah,
and appreciation. Yeah,
everything
yeah,
but
yeah.
money.
Correct, correct. In a way. But on a side note, what I mean is that I respect you outside of work the same way I respect you at work. So when we come home, you take me into consideration and you listen to me just as much as you would for me to fulfill that position. So I was a bookkeeper and I did certain things in accounting. That
And my
you,
personal consultant.
correct. So you would ask me for certain perspectives and I would give them to you. But I also knew you had the ultimate say. So either you could take my idea, go with it, take my idea, not go with it, or take my idea and modify it.
Right.
But the same thing goes at home. So you still take me into consideration at home. So I don't feel like I'm less than or irrelevant in any way. I'm still heard. But if you don't think that my idea is good enough, you explain why, and then you tell me, you open my eyes to see why it could be better or different. And
because-
so I truly, genuinely admire you so much, because even though I know that I have a say, I know that ultimately whatever you decide is going to be the best for the whole. So whether that's at home or at work, like, you are just on point every time.
Well, the thing is that your opinion is worth hearing. There's a lot of women that don't have the capacity to come up with a good opinion. It comes more of an ego-based route that their opinion is come across, and yours is more towards a little bit more objective, like outside
The
view.
results and
So sometimes we can get lost in our own head, and I need an outside view, and that's why I catch you up to speed. So the biggest assets that you can acquire is intellectual assets that you can go with you, and they're called meta skills. So like a meta skill is saying if you're really good at one skill that you can apply in different
fields.
features fields. So negotiation is one of those go-to. A negotiation is really good in any kind of job that you do, or sales or
I
marketing,
think
so forth.
one of the best meta skills is learning.
Right.
Because learning how to learn, so it's going beyond learning, you can take that skill and apply it to any skill.
So she applies
and
it.
transfers
So
it, yeah.
I read a lot of books. I speed read a lot of them. I watch a lot of programs, and I'm more particular, especially now that I'm going. Like, so you guys get an idea. I don't even really buy physical books because digital books are in my pocket. I can go anytime I have time to review a book, ideas and everything, because the best shortcut that you could take is to get a mentor that has already done it. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Learning from someone else's
you need to take
experience.
somebody else's experience, accept them, and put your own viewpoint and experiment with them and come up with your own, because you're coming with a lot of ideas to make your own idea. And that's what eventually you guys will do, especially the younger guys. You take the best of the cans and then you add your spice to it to improve it, and what you're doing is passing the baton. So I go through them and I recommend her the best ones that I read,
And I love
and
it.
she reads those so that she can be more or less
On the same.
what I'm looking at, so she can see, "Hey, what do you think?" So I can get a different perspective.
Well, exactly,
So
because I don't
not a
think
lot
the
of
way you
women
think.
are do that. So that's the key thing, is the growth mindset. She has that. She's willing to, but everybody has their speed, and you have to respect it. You're not going to change how people are. You just got to accept how they are. And everybody has a certain treasures in their mind, and you need to scoop it out. That's the pirate in me that says everybody has some kind of mental treasures out there. That's why I asked you to put down your comments, because you guys have good stuff out there.
You've had different experiences
Exactly.
than we've had
So
that others can learn
a lot
from.
of them are very parallel, So we can see a lot of comments, but once in a while you get one that just hits it out of the park. And sometimes that's what makes a lot of difference. So why wouldn't you choose the best people that have done the best in the fields that you want to learn? And why not pick the fields you want to learn that give you the most leverage, which is the meta skills in any kind of profession? So that's why you have to be the boss, guys. You have to be the leader, because we're naturally builders, we're naturally producers. We can work for a long
Well,
time.
you're engineers. You want to know how something works, how to create it to make it better, more effective, more efficient.
And when you do all that stuff, people see it, especially women. And that's when they come to you, because they're like, this guy has results. That's the most attractive thing.
Absolutely.
If you have results, the women come to you, and then you have the luxury to pick on easy mode. So you should always think you should get your boss game up, because once you get your boss game up, all the resources come to you, and with those resources, they attract women. And that's the indirect game that you have towards women. So the bigger results that you get, the more of a discount you get with women, is basically. And that's another video that we filmed. So if you guys, this is her explaining the boss game deal.
Hopefully it made sense.
So that's how you treat a woman like an employee, is to kind of keep you in check, but the resources change.
Right.
So it's not money, it's more attention and validation and so forth and so on. And let us know what you guys think. That's what we think. Put down in your comments the experiences so other people can learn. If you like this video, please like and share and subscribe. And that would help us very much with the algorithm. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.